Okay, in these videos we're going to talk about treating an old pine floor. A lot of people are not happy with the colour it goes, so we're going to take you through a few options, but with 13 colours in our colour tone ultra range, we've got plenty of options. These are all floorboards, seriously old floorboards that I got. They were sanded back, finishing off with 120 grit paper. If you go finer, you won't get the pigment into the wood. If you go coarser, you're liable to see scratch marks, but you will get a better uptake of the pigment. Now, people often say to us, what effect does Hardwax oil clear have on timber? Well, here we've got two options. I've got the old pine. Now, Hardwax oil only can enhance the colour of the timber it's going on. So if I treat the old pine, and there's some rough sawn pieces as well, you can see immediately the colour goes much darker. On the other hand, I have a pizza dish which is made from beech. Now, although beech has colour, the effect is much less. So you have to check what your timber's going to do when you put the Hardwax oil. The easy way, wet your finger and rub it on there. The colour is a pretty good accurate indication. Most people are not happy with this colour, so we have the options, and I'm going to give you 3 as a range, but there are others available. And as I say, we've got 13 colours in our range which you can choose. The most popular one we sell is spruce. Now, with the colour tone ultra, you apply a thin coat and allow it to penetrate. Now, this can be done with a cloth, brush or roller. I tend to prefer the brush because you can get a thinner coat with it. A roller can be a little bit heavy. Now, what will happen is the oils are soaking in, because this is based on our Hardwax oil. And you leave it a few minutes, as I say, on the floor, 10 minutes or so, and it's absolutely fine. You remove the excess. Now you can see the pigment is holding in the grain and it's just lightened the timber. And if we look this end, especially, you can see how much it's brought it up without looking like a white finish. Mid-range, in the colour ultra range, I'm going to use the pebble grey. Now again, this will give you quite a modern effect. Again, brush it on, work it into any imperfections in the timber, because you don't want those showing through if you can possibly help it. You could be quite rough and ready with this. Take a cloth, remove the excess. And again, you can see it's totally altered the colour of the floor without disguising the lovely timber you've got underneath it. The third one I'm going to demonstrate is my favourite if you're going to colour a floor, and that's slate. Now, although slate is predominantly grey, once you mix it with the colour of the timber, you get a lovely warm antique colour. So it looks quite vicious going on. And again, this wood is lovely and dry, so it's soaking in. So you can put it on far more carefully than this. I'm just doing this for the samples. Take a bit of roll. Now you can use any lint-free cloth, any paper. Kitchen roll is my favourite at home. and you get a nice colour. With the cloths, when you wipe the floor down, as with any product that contains linseed oil, hang them up to dry or lay them out to dry. Linseed oil can self-combust if you screw them all up together and leave them. They only need about an hour or so to dry. We also have in the Treatex range a range called Classic Colours, which you'll see are advertised for external use, but they can also be used internally, and they do also make a very good floor finish. I'm going to apply this one by roller. This will give you a more opaque finish. Got very, very strong coverage power. It will soak into the timber, so you still see the structure of the grain. But for those who want a white floor, this is quite an option. When this is dry, you can do 1 or 2 coats. I prefer just 1 coat because that way it's into the wood, not on the wood. You can put a coat of Hardwax oil over the top to seal it. You will not then change the colour. All these will dry within 4 to 8 hours. They all dry by oxygen, so you need air movement. Heat helps, but air movement is the most critical. Depending on the weather outside, it can dry quicker. If it's cold and wet, it will dry slower. Once it's dry, add 2 coats of the Hardwax oil. We've got 5 sheen levels from flat matte through to gloss.